Today is a Monday, January 13th, 2025. Uranium miners, a grueling day deep underground. A dawn in the dust. As the first rays of sunlight slice through the horizon, the barren landscape of the uranium mine comes alive with an austere beauty. The morning light dances on the ochre and gray surfaces, illuminating the jagged edges of rock and the towering machinery that dominates the site. A thin haze of dust hangs in the air, stirred by the early stirring of workers and the low hum of engines warming up for the day ahead. It's a stark and uninviting world, yet it's here that lives are built and futures are forged. The miners begin to gather in small groups, their voices blending into a low murmur against the background noise of the site. Each face tells a story, etched lines of experience, resilience, and hard-earned wisdom. These are men and women bound by the unspoken camaraderie of shared hardship, their daily routines intertwined with the risks and rewards of mining deep beneath the Earth's surface. Among them is Rafael Ortiz, a seasoned miner with over 2 decades of experience under his belt. His presence is commanding yet unassuming, a reflection of the respect he's earned from his peers. Rafael's hands bear the calluses of years spent gripping tools and machinery, and his eyes, though weary, hold a quiet determination. Today, as always, he dons his gear with methodical precision: helmet, gloves, steel-toed boots, and a high-visibility vest marked with his identification number. Rafael's motivation for returning to the mines day after day is as multifaceted as the uranium ore he extracts. "It's for my family," he explains, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. "This work, it's dangerous, yes. But it puts food on the table, pays for my daughter's education, and keeps a roof over our heads." His words are a reminder of the sacrifices made by miners worldwide, who brave the depths not just for themselves but for those who depend on them. Today holds particular significance for Rafael. The previous week, his team had identified a rich vein of uranium ore, and they plan to return to that section of the mine to begin extraction. There's an air of cautious optimism among the crew. A successful haul could mean bonuses and a sense of accomplishment that tempers the relentless grind of their work. For Rafael, it's also a chance to mentor younger miners, passing on techniques and safety practices that could save lives. As the sun climbs higher, casting long shadows over the mine's entrance, Rafael joins his team at the briefing station. The foreman reviews the day's objectives, highlighting the potential challenges of the operation. The miners listen intently, their faces solemn but resolute. For them, this is more than a job, it's a test of endurance, skill, and unity. With the plan set, they descend into the earth, leaving behind the light of day for the unforgiving darkness below. Rafael shoulders his gear and steps forward, leading the way with a steady stride. For him, every day in the mine is a balance between hope and hardship, a dance with danger that underscores the profound strength of those who choose this path. As the lift door closes behind them, the world above fades away, and the grueling work of uranium mining begins anew. The data collected from the article published by J.M. McCord on June 13, 2005. In the decades after World War II, thousands of men returned home from working in the West's uranium mines. They dusted off their coats, kicked off their worn boots, and set down fragments of the day's labor. Miners kept chunks of yellow cake in their houses, recalls Mary Helen DeCoe-Evand, a former mayor of Nucla, Colorado, a hub of uranium mining during the Cold War. Unbeknownst to them, however, they also carried their work home in their lungs, says Sharon Grundy, a doctor in nearby Naturita. She treats former miners for illnesses such as lung cancer and pulmonary silicosis, caused by exposure to mining hazards. Uranium mining in the West reached its zenith in the 1970s as nuclear power plants proliferated nationwide, and uranium fetched about $50 per pound. However, accidents at 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, coupled with an influx of foreign uranium in the 1990s, caused prices to crash. Recently, though, uranium prices have doubled, reaching over $20 per pound. President George W. Bush has championed nuclear power, which generates 20% of the nation's electricity, calling it one of the safest, cleanest sources of power in the world and advocating for expanded use. HCN, May 16, 05, Congress touts green energy, but the bill is black and blue. In response, Cotter Corp has rehired 21 workers at its 3 uranium mines in western Colorado and plans to hire 40 more by year's end. These mines have largely avoided scrutiny from activists and regulators, as their permits were still active or only temporarily suspended, according to Russ Means from the Colorado Division of Minerals and Geology. Cotter resumed operations simply by notifying the state. Technically, the mines have been active all along, Means explains. Other companies in Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming are also exploring reopening their mines to extract the yellow-flecked ore. Historically, uranium mining was plagued by ignorance and weak oversight. There were a lot of shortcuts taken back then, says Jake de Herrera, Assistant District Manager for the Federal Mine Safety and Health Administration in Denver. For instance, miners weren't always required to wear respirators even when radon, a toxic and odorless byproduct of uranium, was detected. Inhaling radon gas damages lung cells over time, increasing the risk of lung cancer and other diseases. A 2000 report by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health revealed that uranium miners from the 1940s to the 1970s died of lung cancer at 6 times the expected rate. Many of these diseases appeared decades later, often after company liability expired, forcing the federal government to pay millions in compensation. Today's mine operators insist those problems are a thing of the past. Jerry Powers, a spokesman for Cotter, states that modern mines comply with federal safety standards, and respirators are mandatory where radon is present. While current regulations are stricter and better enforced, uranium mining remains hazardous. Zero exposure is the only truly safe level, says Dr. Bruce Baird Strumminger, medical director for a radiation exposure screening program on the Navajo Reservation. He notes that proper respirator use can mitigate most risks but questions whether it's worth risking lives to extract uranium. Despite the dangers, NUCLA residents embrace the resurgence of mining, viewing it as a cornerstone of their heritage and a beacon of hope for their struggling economy. HCN, May 8, 2000, former uranium town wants its waste back. We're 100% loving it over here, says Roger Culver, owner of the San Miguel Basin Forum. NUCLA has always been pro-mining. We know that when you turn on a light, there's an industry behind it. Thanks for watching and subscribing to the channel.